Hello and welcome. I'm Amethyst Moonflower, and welcome to my channel, a sacred space where we discuss all things spiritual, magical, and personal development. So if you like this type of content and want to support this channel's growth, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss a video. I'm a certified life coach, crystal healer, artist, creator, writer, and ordained priestess, and my goal is to help others like you tap into their personal magic and higher self to manifest their dreams into reality and turn their passions into their purpose. So if you're interested in working with me, would like to sign up for a free discovery call, or just want to keep up with my latest content because you love what I'm doing, then check out all my social medias and website, amethystmoonflower.com, and all the links to those are going to be in the bio below. So without further ado, let's get started. So today's video is day 2 of the Witchtober YouTube challenge, 31 Days of Magic, and today's topic is going to be the Wheel of the Year, the pagan Sabbats, and the 8 main holidays. And I'm not going to be going through each one in great detail. I'm just going to be kind of giving you a rough idea of what they are and what they're about, and kind of just warming us up. I am going to be going over each of the 8 Sabbats individually in separate videos in the future to kind of give a lot more information and in-depth conversation about each one of the Sabbats. But today I'm just going to kind of make a short video about what the wheel is and why it's so important to pagans and witches and Wiccans and things like that. So the Wheel of the Year is pretty much a wheel, they call it, because it's a circle of all of the 8 holidays that witches, pagans, and Wiccans celebrate throughout the year. They're marked by the sun and the changes of the seasons, because Earth is it's tilted at its axis, and so it creates the 4 seasons, which that's pretty basic in science. You know, that's how we get our seasons, is as the sun rotates and the earth is tilted. You know, the sun has different amounts of light on the parts of the planet at different times throughout the year. So there are certain points of the sun that kind of create this layout that many pagans, pre-Christian religions, or folks that have been following the sun since the beginning of time. And one of the main first ones on the list is I would say the winter solstice, because it is the longest day and the shortest night. But the witches start their year off on Samhain, and since Samhain is in October and it's the witches' new year, we're going to start the wheel off on that one. So Samhain, also known as Halloween, is an ancient holiday Sabbat that is celebrated traditionally on October 31st, but it's technically on the 15th degree of Scorpio. So, you know, the 15th degree of Scorpio can vary, you know, a couple days either before or after, but it's always going to be, you know, on the 15th degree of Scorpio. But it's traditionally celebrated every year on October 31st, even though it might not be exactly 15 degrees Scorpio. But it's the witches' new year, and it's also the 3rd harvest of 3 main harvests that we celebrate throughout the year. And some may call it the harvest of souls, because it's referring to the harvest of the animals, because at the end of the year, you know, any animals that are ready for slaughter would be butchered, and so they call it the harvest of souls. Also, you may hear it called the Day of the Dead is celebrated by the Latin culture, where we honor ancestors and spirits, and that's because it's when the veil between the spirit world and our world is at its thinnest. And so it's a really big holiday, and almost everybody knows it, but they may not know it as Samhain. They may know it as Halloween. But it is very important, and that's why a lot of witches call it their new year, because it's at the end of the cycle and about ready to begin the new cycle. And the new cycle technically begins on Yule, which is the next Sabbath, and that one is celebrated on 12/21, December 21st, a few days before the Christian Christmas, and it is on 0 degrees of Capricorn. This is the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, shortest day, and this marks the first day of winter. And it is what the Christians borrowed a lot of their traditions for Christmas from Yule, the tree and, the Yule log and, lighting candles and giving gifts and all these things, singing Christmas carols or Yule carols. And those all come from the pagan celebration of Yule. And the reason why this is so important is because since it's the longest night and the shortest day, the sun starts to gain strength after this day. So it is considered the birth of the sun god, which is why Christians borrowed this holiday to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, because it's the birth of the Son of God, the sun and the sky. It's very closely intertwined. And this is also when, the Oak King is born or takes his rule back over after losing it to the Holly King back in fall. So that is also one of the 8 main holidays of the year, and it is very special. And then we have Imbolc, which is on February 1st. So this is the first Sabbath of the calendar year, and some would consider this to be the first Sabbath of the wheel. But what's silly is that there technically is no first of the wheel, because it's an endless circle and it's constantly repeating itself. So a circle has no beginning and no end, and because it has no beginning and no end, there's technically nowhere to really start. But if you wanted to start at the beginning of the calendar year, Imbolc is the one that's closest to that. But Imbolc is called Imbolc or such because it means use milk. All right, so that means in the belly, or the milk of the cows and the lambs that give birth to their babies, and they give milk to them. And so it's very, very early. It's not spring yet, but it's very much midwinter. But the animals are already kind of starting to maybe get ready to have babies and start making milk and stuff like that. So that's one of the markers for it seasonally. And in some areas you may see little flowers poking up out of the snow. And it's also known for Bridget's Day, or the church has claimed it as St. Bridget's Day, because Bridget is the maiden goddess of the Celtic traditions, and Bridget is a very big, popular goddess, and she represents a lot of different things. And because she was so popular and it was so difficult for the pagans to stop following her, which they really never did stop following her, but when the church was trying to convert people, they ended up turning her into a saint. So you may hear it being called St. Bridget's Day. You may also hear it called Groundhog's Day. And Groundhog's Day is kind of closely related to another pagan belief system tradition where, there's the crone the dark goddess will leave her cave at this time, and she'll wander through the woods and looking for sticks for fire. And if she finds sticks for her fire, then we'll have 6 more weeks of winter. And if she doesn't find sticks for her fire, then we'll have an early spring, because if she doesn't have her fire, she can't stay warm. And the only way, so they say that if it's a beautiful, sunny, bright day on Imbolc, then we have 6 more weeks of winter. But if it's like gloomy and cold and snowy or rainy and the weather isn't that good, then it's actually a good sign that spring will be over sooner than later. So, and this is also known as Candlemas, because this is the time when the Catholic Church would make all their candles for the year ahead, but it's also kind of a pagan witchy thing to do as well, to make candles at this time and to also light and burn a bunch of candles for this celebration. And because it's so dark and cold at this time, that fire and light is very, very important. And then we'll go into Ostara, which is on March 21st, or 0 degrees of Aries. And this is the spring equinox, also known as the first day of spring. And it is when the light of the day and night are equal. So we have a balance between light and dark. And this holiday is also the origins of Easter from the Christian tradition. So, the bunnies and the eggs and these things, these were all adapted from the Christian religion, from the pagan religion, the pagan holiday. Ostara was what was adopted for the Christian church for Easter, because it's all about rebirth, because it's the beginning of spring, so everything's being birthed and rebirthed, and the cycle begins anew, which translates into the death and rebirth of Jesus Christ. And that's why, Easter is celebrated the way that it is, because it's adopted so many similarities as well from this very popular pagan holiday. And it's very traditional to paint eggs and plant seeds for the garden and things like that. So first day of spring, and it's a wonderful time of the year, and the balance between light and dark, and so the light is gaining from this point on. And then we move into Beltane, which is on May 1st, are the 15 degrees of Taurus. And sorry, I keep looking at my notes here. And it is mid-spring, or also known as May Day or Fay Day. May Day because it's the first day of May, but then you may hear it called Fay Day because this is the opposite point of the wheel of the year from Samhain, and Samhain is when the veil is the thinnest between the spirit world, and also at Beltane the veil is thin, but it's not necessarily like the spirit like our ancestors. It's more the veil between us and the fae, or the fairies, and the nature spirits. And so fairies are very prevalent at this time. They're very mischievous, they like to play tricks, and they're out there scattering all their fae magic into nature and making things grow and bringing about life. And this is also when the union between the green man and the red maiden, and they come together in sexual unity to create new life for Earth. So that's Beltane. And then we'll move on into Litha, which is on June 21st, or 0 degrees of Cancer, and this is the summer solstice, the first day of summer, longest day, shortest night. And this is when the marriage between the sun god and the earth goddess, when they finally, do their hand fasting and they join in love and union for the benefit of all life and humanity and the planet, and to nurture us. And also at this time, the goddess is pregnant from their sexual escapades from Beltane. She is now pregnant, and they are married, and they are hand-fested. And so this time of year, it's the beginning of summer, and it's hot, and it's bright, and it's sunny. So, playing outside and everything, and having a bonfire and a barbecue, these are all very appropriate things to do at this time. And then we will go into Lamos, or Lognasad, I think is how you say it, Lognasad, but I say Lamos because it's the shorter version of it. But that is on August 1st, and it is the 15 degrees of Leo, and this is midsummer and the first harvest. So this is the harvest of fruits, like the vines, like grapes and such, and this is when wines are going to start to be made and things like that. So this is a time when pagans will honor the god of wine. I think his name is not Odysseus. I can't remember his name, but the god of wine is very honored at this time. And this is also when the Oak King and the Holly King, they battle. And obviously the Oak King loses the battle, so the Holly King rises and begins his reign for the second half of the year. Now the Oak King isn't dead, but he is wounded, and so he begins to lose his strength after this time, and the Holly King begins to gain his strength. And then we go into Mabon, which is on September 21st, or 0 degrees of Libra. And this is the autumn equinox, the first day of fall, and also the other point of the year where it's equal day and night. And so it's very much about balance, and this is the main harvest of the year. Some say second, but it's more like the main harvest. So this is when you do the harvest of your grains, like your corn and your wheat and your barley and all your main vegetables and things like that. And this is when a lot of pagans will get together and have a day of thanks, very similar to a Thanksgiving feast, and show their signs of our thanks and our gratitude for everything that we've harvested in our lives, and for the food and everything that we've gathered throughout the year. And that's when we would move back into Samhain on October 31st, which is the third and final harvest. So there's actually 3 harvests, and Mabon is the main one. And so that is the quick gist of the wheel of the year. And as you can see, it's very much tied to nature, the cycles and the seasons, and the cycles of the sun, as well as the moon and things like that as well. But I will be talking more about the cycles of the moon in another video, and I'll be going deeper into each Sabbat with more detail and correspondences and such in more videos to come up ahead. So I hope you guys found this short little video very informative, and let me know in the comments if there's something that you would like to ask, or a comment that you would like to leave, and let me know how I'm doing. I really love talking to you guys, and I'm really ready to, communicate with you more and build a relationship with you guys. So anyways, thank you all for watching today's video, and I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful October witchiness day, 31 days of magic, and I will be seeing you guys again tomorrow for day 3. So brightest blessings. Namaste.